Hey, welcome to Inside Project Management. Today we're going to go over 25 questions to help you pass the PMP exam. These are going to be fairly easy, but please stay with me and watch all the way to the end because I have some tips and some techniques that will help you to answer these questions effectively, especially when you're taking the PMP exam. So in this video, we're going to break down each question to try to uncover what the true question is. We're going to use a methodology that I like to call apply, deny, and comply. So first part of that is we're going to apply the PMP and Agile mindsets to each question. Then we're going to eliminate the wrong answers using the deny methodology. And then we're going to identify what that correct answer is by seeing if it complies to the PMP standards and practices. And then we're going to explain the reasoning behind each correct answer. So first off, let's look at the apply methodology. And there are two parts to the apply. We're going to look at what the PM mindsets are and what the Agile mindsets are. So in project management, the project management mindset is basically a set of attitudes and behaviors that define how we approach projects. It can influence our performance as project managers and our ability to lead teams successfully. Project management mindset is concerned with how we think about projects, which influences how we approach them and what results we achieve. It involves several different elements that include critical thinking, having the initiative, and collaboration. Then after we look at that, we're going to look at the Agile mindset. The Agile mindset is a way of thinking that emphasizes understanding, collaboration, learning, flexibility, all of that to achieve high-performing results. The Agile mindset is not just about following the Agile practices, but it's about adopting a mindset that embraces change and focuses on delivering incremental value to customers. The mindset is essential for navigating complex projects and adapting to evolving customer demands and market conditions. And basically, in a nutshell, one of the key aspects of the Agile mindset is focus on empowering the team. Remember, your team is your experts, and so we need to empower them, give them autonomy, allow them to be creative, innovative, and just basically enable individuals to do their best work. So this results in a happy, motivated team that continuously improves its processes and outcomes. There are some core principles within the Agile mindset that we also want to remember. Our answers should always reflect respect for the team. They should always be around optimizing and sustaining the workflow. The answers should encourage innovation and relentless improvement. Then, once we see if those questions or those answers actually apply that mindset and that PMP mindset and the Agile mindset, we want to look at this one that's called deny. And this is, you may have seen this before, it's a variation of what's out there. And there are like 6 or 7 key criteria that you want to weigh these answers to. Don't hire. The answer is talking about adding more people to the team or adding some other experts where you got to spend money. That's probably not the correct answer. Don't fire, just the opposite. If it talks about getting rid of people or removing people from the team, that's probably not a good answer. Don't ask for money. This is a big one. You'll see some questions that are asking you to go and ask the sponsor for more money or go and make a change request to get more money. Try not to do those. Don't delegate. That means don't ask somebody to do your work for you. You're the project manager. You've been hired to do a particular job, so you don't want to be asking people to do a job that you've been assigned to do. Don't escalate. This one's key because a lot of these questions will say, go ask the project sponsor for help, or tell the project sponsors or tell the shareholders about your problem and have them to go and fix it. So we want to stay away from answers that have that element in them. And then don't delay. We don't ever want to delay our projects if we can avoid it. You want to make sure that you are exhausting all your resources in order to get down to that answer or that situation that will not allow that project to be delayed. And then the last one is don't do nothing. Now, that's kind of a funny way of saying don't avoid it. Don't don't do anything, do not do anything. It's a double negative. But anyway, that basically means make sure that your answers in your questions always apply to some type of action. If they say just ignore it or put it to the side till later, that's probably not going to be the right answer. So we're going to eliminate those answer choices by using that deny methodology. So again, we're talking about don't hire, don't fire, don't ask for money, don't delegate, don't escalate, don't delay, and don't do nothing. Eliminate answer options by validating them against these 7 criteria. And then we're going to look at how that final answer, does it actually comply to the PMI practices and standards? And our PMI practices and standards are going to be coming from, obviously, the PMI, the Project Management Institute. We're going to be coming out of the PMBOK Guide and also out of the Agile Practice Guide. So make sure that the final selection actually complies with the standards and practices that you would find in the Project Management Institute, the PMBOK, and the Agile Practice Guides. And so that's it. Lastly, we're just going to get started. We're going to break down the questions. We're going to apply the PMP mindsets. We're going to deny them based on the deny methodology. We're going to identify the correct answer and make sure it applies to the PMI practices and standards. And then lastly, I'm going to explain the reasoning for each correct answer. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get started. Okay, here we go. A global project team is experiencing decreased engagement, and the project manager observes a decline in proactive communication from team members across different time zones. Despite establishing clear communication channels and daily stand-ups, some team members often seem disengaged during virtual meetings. Which of the following strategies is the most effective approach for the project manager to re-energize the virtual team and foster greater engagement? Okay, so let's break this question down. Let's look at some of the key elements in this question. So first thing, we have a global project team. Okay, and so they're experiencing, let's say, decreased engagement, and the project manager observed that there's a decline in proactive communication from the members across the different time zones. So despite clear communication channels and daily stand-ups, so it tells us right there that this is an agile project team and it's global. Some team members often seem disengaged during virtual meetings. Okay, so which of the following strategies is the most effective approach for the project manager to re-energize the virtual team and foster a greater engagement? So let's take a closer look. Let's see what these question answers are. So question answer number 1, it says mandate longer daily virtual meetings to ensure everyone has a chance to speak and address all the issues synchronously. B says implement a structured virtual team building event focused on personal sharing and non-work related activities to build camaraderie. C, increase reliance on asynchronous communication tools and establish clear guidelines for when synchronous communication is truly necessary. Or D, conduct individual performance reviews to identify disengaged members and set specific improvement targets for communication and participation. Okay, that was a lot. So let's break down each answer choice. So the first one says mandate longer virtual daily meetings. Okay, so this one we're going to knock off right off the bat, because first it says mandate. We don't ever want to mandate anything. And then second, you don't want longer daily virtual team meetings. Remember, this is an agile team, so these meetings should be 15 minutes or less, and you just want to talk about what you did, what you're going to do next, and any hindrances that may prevent you from getting your goal accomplished. So we're going to say no to letter A. Letter B says implement a structured team building event focused on personal sharing and non-work related activities to build camaraderie. Okay, that doesn't sound bad, but remember the question was not talking about poor morale. They were talking about a decline in proactive communication. Let me get rid of that. A decline in proactive communication was actually the problem here. So it wasn't about camaraderie, it was a decline in proactive communication. So although that's a good answer, that's not the correct answer. The next one is increase reliance on asynchronous communication tools and establish clear guidelines for when communication or synchronous communication is truly necessary. So I like this one. It's coming along pretty good. We're going to look at letter D. Conduct individual performance reviews to identify disengaged members and set specific performance improvement targets for communication and participation. Okay, there's nothing wrong with setting improvement targets for communication and participation, but the problem that I have with this answer choice is that you want to conduct individual performance reviews. Anytime you do individual performance reviews like this, you're trying to single out an individual, and then that kind of goes against the concept of the agile mindset about agile mindset for being a cohesive unit and fostering collaboration. That's what I'm looking for, fostering collaboration. So you're going to single out somebody. You're probably going to really bring that person or those individuals' morale down when you do that. So I think the best answer choice for this one is going to be letter C. Let's see what we have here. We're correct. Letter C is the correct answer. Increase reliance on asynchronous communication tools and establish clear guidelines for when synchronous communication is truly necessary. So let's look at why this is the right answer. For global virtual teams dealing with time zone challenges and engagement issues, over-reliance on synchronous meetings, that means meetings that we all have to do together at the same time, that can cause fatigue and disengagement, especially when meetings occur at inconvenient times. Remember, this was a global project team, so everybody's not on the same time zone. However, using asynchronous tools such as shared documents and discussion boards, that allows team members to contribute at their own schedule. This promotes a more thoughtful participation. It establishes clear rules for when real-time interaction is necessary. It ensures meetings remain focused and valuable. It provides respecting of the diverse workforce and work hours, and it ultimately reduces burnout. So effective virtual team communication prioritizes quality and timing over quantity. All right, question number 2. A PMP certified project manager is leading a distributed agile team spanning 3 continents. During a sprint retrospective, a recurring theme is difficulty in expressing nuanced feedback and resolving misunderstandings due to lack of nonverbal cues in virtual meetings. The team relies primarily on video conferencing and chat. What is the most effective approach for the project manager to enhance communication clarity and psychological safety within virtual teams? So here we are. You're a certified project manager. You're leading a distributed agile team across 3 continents. During your sprint retrospective, a recurring theme is difficulty in expressing nuanced feedback and resolving misunderstandings due to lack of nonverbal clues. So this team relies on video conferences and chats. So what is the most effective approach for the project manager to enhance communication and psychological safety during virtual teams? So let's see what these answer choices are. Encourage more frequent, shorter daily video calls to increase face-to-face interaction. Implement a policy requiring all team members to keep their cameras on during virtual team meetings to better read body language. Facilitate a structured feedback session where team members use active listening techniques and paraphrase understandings to confirm messages, or introduce a dedicated online tool for anonymous feedback submission to encourage candor without direct confrontation. Okay, so A says encourage more frequent, shorter daily video calls to increase face-to-face interaction and build rapport. So more frequent calls. You're in the middle of a project. You don't have time to be doing more frequent calls. So I'm going to say no to this one. Letter B, implement a policy requiring all team members to keep their cameras on during virtual meetings to better read body language. Again, this is one of those mandates. I'm going to make you do something as a team member. As a project manager, that's not really what we want to be doing. We don't want to be mandating a lot of things from our team members. So I'm going to say no to this one. Facilitate, there's a key word, structured feedback sessions where team members use active listening techniques and paraphrase understandings to confirm messaging. Okay, that's a good one. We'll look at that one. And then letter D says introduce a dedicated online anonymous feedback submission to encourage candor without direct confrontation. Okay, that's not bad, but let's look at the question. It says, what is the most effective approach for the project manager? You can dedicate an online tool for anonymous feedback, but what happens to that feedback? Typically, it's probably going to the project manager, but that's not where the conflict is. The conflict is in between the team members who are having misunderstandings due to lack of nonverbal cues. So in order to mitigate that issue, you want to have some kind of structured feedback session where team members can practice active listening techniques and paraphrasing understandings to understand, to confirm that that message has been understood. So for me, I would say the answer choice is answer C. Here we go. Answer C, facilitate. So let's explain why this is the correct answer. So without nonverbal cues, active listening and paraphrasing are essential to ensure clarity and psychological safety in virtual communications. Structured sessions help members confirm their understanding, reduce misinterpretations, and make everyone feel heard and valued. This approach fosters an environment where nuanced feedback can be expressed confidently and compensating for the absence of physical cues. Question 3. A project manager for a newly formed virtual team notices that two members located in different countries are frequently late to synchronous sprint planning meetings and are reluctant to contribute despite strong technical skills. This impacts team velocity and morale. What is the most appropriate initial action for the project manager? Okay, so we got a project manager, you have a newly formed virtual team, and you got two members who are located in two different countries are frequently late to synchronous sprint planning meetings. And not only are they late, they're reluctant to contribute despite their strong technical skills. So this obviously impacts the team velocity and morale. So what is the most appropriate initial action for the project manager? Well, let's find out what the answer choices are. A, you can schedule a private virtual meeting with each team member to address the participation and set expectations. Again, you're talking about individual private meetings. That's not a lot of time for that. B, you can reevaluate the timing of synchronous meetings to accommodate different time zones and to ensure equitable participation. That sounds pretty good. Reevaluate, that means go back and take a second look at what you have set up now. You can assign specific tasks to these members during the meetings to force engagement and accountability. There's a word, force. We're not doing that here, so that's out. And then implement a strict attendance policy and penalties for non-compliance. Here we go. We got strict, we got penalties. that's a no-go for that one as well. That doesn't follow the agile mindset or even the servant leader mindset of a project manager. So we're left with private virtual meetings or reevaluate timing. Private virtual meetings with each team member, that can take up a lot of your time as a project manager. So I'm going to go with B as the correct answer. And let's see what we have here. All right, B, reevaluate the timing. So explanation, chronic lateness and disengagement often stem from meeting times that are inconvenient due to different time zones. Adjusting or rotating meetings to suit global participants fosters inclusiveness and engagement. This systemic solution should precede individual disciplinary measures. That's what I meant earlier. We don't want to disciplinary measures. You want to do everything else first, which may not address the underlying cause, right? Question number 4. A technical specialist in a high-performing virtual team feels isolated, disconnected from informal team interactions, and out of the loop on casual decisions and banter. How should the project manager best address this without compromising productivity? Got a key technical specialist. We're breaking down the question. In a high-performing virtual team, this person feels isolated and disconnected from informal interactions and out of the loop on decisions and banter. So as a project manager, what's the best way to address this without compromising productivity? So let's take a look at your answer choices. You can organize daily mandatory informal coffee breaks for the entire team. Mandatory, you're out. You can encourage a dedicated virtual water cooler channel for non-work related discussions and informal check-ins. Maybe. You can advise the specialist to reach out proactively to team members one-on-one. You could do that, but you're kind of asking someone else to do your job. Remember, that's part of that deny. We're going to kick that one out. And then we're going to look at D, implement a formal mentorship program pairing the specialist with an experienced member. Well, that one's going to be out because this is already says in the question that this is a key technical specialist. They're already a technical specialist. They don't need to be partnered with an experienced team member, so we're going to get rid of that. So we think the answer is B. The correct answer is B. Here we go. The correct answer is B. Encourage the use of dedicated virtual water cooler channel. That's just kind of like a chat for what's going on for any non-work related discussions, informal check-ins. So that's going to allow that team member to kind of start feeling part of the group and participate in the banter, even though they're virtual. So informal interactions are vital for combating feelings of isolation in virtual teams. Rather than mandating time-consuming events, a virtual water cooler channel provides a voluntary, accessible space for casual conversation, stimulating spontaneous office interactions without disrupting productivity. All right, I like that one. Okay, question number 5. A project manager inherits a struggling virtual team with low morale and communication breakdowns. The project charter and scope are well defined, but the team lacks shared understanding of priorities and duplicates efforts. What foundational step should the project manager prioritize? So here we go. Project manager, a struggling virtual team, low morale, communication breakdowns. So what is the foundational step should the project manager prioritize? And so we're going to take a look at the answer choices. You can, 1, implement a robust management information system or robust project management information system for centralized tracking, conduct a comprehensive team assessment of working styles, communication preferences and challenges, or you can C, facilitate virtual chartering session to collaboratively define team norms, communication protocols, and shared objectives. And D, mandate daily synchronous stand-ups for real-time updates and issue resolution. So let's break this down. Letter A says implement a robust project management information system for centralized tracking. Okay, that's not bad, but the team is struggling with morale and communication. So not so much submitting information. You can, letter B says conduct a comprehensive team assessment of working styles, communication preferences, and challenges. That's good. You need to do that anyway, but that's not going to solve the question right off the bat, solve the problem right off the bat. How about facilitate a virtual team chartering session to collaboratively define team norms, communication protocols, and shared objectives? Okay, I like that one because you're facilitating as a project manager. You're facilitating virtual team session, and then you got collaboration here. So this goes with applying those PMI and agile mindsets, and it doesn't give you any deny because you're not hiring, firing, all of that stuff. Let's look at D, mandate. Oh, there it is, mandate. Right off the bat, we don't want to mandate any synchronous stand-ups because remember, this is a virtual team. They could be anywhere. So if you mandate some kind of synchronous stand-up, I mean, they all have to be on the same time zone. So that may be a little difficult in getting that accomplished. So I would go with let's go with letter C on this one. Let's check it out. Here we go. Letter C, correct. Establishing a virtual team charter promotes clear collective understanding of how members interact and work together. Remember, that's what a team charter does. It sets out the ground rules for the team. It defines the roles and expectations and communication methods and decision processes for fostering trust and psychological safety. Remember, we're going to create a safe environment for our team, whether it's co-located or virtual. This foundational step helps to resolve communication breakdowns and duplicated efforts by creating a cohesive framework. Question 6. In a hybrid team, co-located members often have impromptu whiteboard discussions that remote members miss, causing perceived information silos and reduced cohesion. What is the most effective action for the project manager? So here we go. You got a hybrid team. They're collated, hybrid team. So you got some that are virtual, some that are collated. The collated members have impromptu whiteboard sessions that the remote members miss. So what is the most effective action for the project manager? This is for the project manager. Let's look at the answer choices. 1, or letter A, you can discourage all impromptu discussions among collated members. Okay, so we don't want to discourage discussions, so that's going to be out. Letter B says require documentation and immediate sharing of all whiteboard discussions. So you know what? That's kind of good, but here's that word, require or mandate. We don't want to do that as a servant leader. We want to let that team work together. Letter C says invest in collaborative virtual whiteboard tools and train members to use them for all design and brainstorming sessions. I like this one a lot. You got collaboration, and it's a virtual whiteboard, so no matter when people get on there, they just get on the virtual whiteboard, and even the remote members can participate. But let's look at letter D. It says schedule a more frequent formal meetings to reiterate decisions for virtual members. Here we go, more frequent formal meetings. Don't have time for all of those additional meetings. So my answer choice is answer C. Yeah, here we go. Letter C is correct. It says by using collaborative virtual whiteboards, this ensures equitable participation by enabling all members, regardless of location, to contribute and view design discussions in real time, thus eliminating information silos and fostering inclusion. It's making these tools primary for such interactions minimizes exclusion for remote members. Question 7. A PMP certified project manager leads a culturally diverse virtual team facing varied feedback and conflict resolution expectations. How should the project manager proactively address these differences? So let's break this question down. Project manager, a culturally diverse virtual team. Okay, and they're facing varied feedback and conflict resolution expectations. So how should the manager proactively address these differences? Let's see our answer choices. You can A, mandate a standardized communication protocol based on the project manager's culture. First of all, we're talking about mandate. No, in the standardized communication protocol, that's not bad, but the problem with that is it's based on the project manager's culture. So what about the other cultures? They're totally disregarding the other cultures when you select that one, so we're going to mark that one out. Letter B, conduct a cultural awareness workshop encouraging members to share communication norms and preferences. I like this one a lot. It's a workshop. It's encouraging members to share communication norms and preferences. So we're going to keep that one on board. Letter C says, assign cultural liaisons from each group to mediate conflicts and interpret communications. Okay, so cultural liaison, assign a cultural liaison. So you're either hiring somebody or you're creating more work for somebody. So this is going to be out. And then letter D says rely on written communications to avoid culturally specific verbal misunderstandings. Rely on written communication. There's nothing wrong with relying on it or having written communication, but you don't need to rely on it because in a project team, there's going to be a lot of verbal communication that's going to be said. And just because it's written, that doesn't mean that you're going to avoid specific verbal communications culturally. You first need to understand and interpret what those communications are. So I'm going to go with answer C. Here we go. Answer C is correct. And why is it correct? Because you want a facilitating open dialogue on cultural norms builds empathy. It builds mutual respect and culturally intelligent communication strategies. This shared understanding mitigates misunderstandings and fosters effective team dynamics in diverse virtual environments. Question 8. A virtual agile team across time zones misses critical asynchronous updates on their collaboration platform, causing delays. What is the most effective strategy for timely dissemination and comprehension? So, letter A says increase mandatory synchronous meetings for frequency and real-time updates. Mandatory sequencing, sorry about that. Mandatory synchronous meetings for frequency for real-time updates. Mandatory, no. Send daily digest emails summarizing critical updates with required read receipts. You know what? I'm not a big fan of this one. Send daily emails and all of that stuff about required receipts. I'm going to say no to this one. Let's see. Utilize communication matrix defining what information is shared, to whom, when, through which channels, and include a communication of definition of done. I like this one a lot. It's called about a communication matrix, and it defines that what information is shared, whom it's shared to, when it's shared through, through which channels, and it also includes a definition of done. This is a very comprehensive answer. I'm liking this one a lot. And then letter D says assign a communication lead to personally follow up with each team members on updates. Again, this is adding more work to either a team member or either hiring somebody to do that, and that goes against our deny methodology, which is don't hire, don't fire. So I'm going to go with answer C on this. C on this one, and we are correct. A communication matrix system ensures that critical information is sent and received, or sent and confirmed received or understood by the right people using clear timelines and appropriate tools. It reduces missed updates and rework more effectively than increasing meetings or relying on manual follow-ups. Question number 9. In a critical phase, two skilled virtual team members conflict over ownership of a technical task, worsening via indirect chat communication, causing delays. What is the project manager's best immediate action? Best immediate action. So here we want to take action fast because we got conflict between team members and it's causing delays. So let's look at our answer choices. You can A, request written explanations from both for an independent mediator. Okay, this one we're going to take out right off the bat because this one is asking us to do someone else to do our job. We want an independent mediator. No, that's not for independent mediator. How about B, facilitate a synchronous virtual meeting for the two to discuss directly with the project manager guiding. Okay, I like this one. This one is a maybe because it's synchronous virtual meeting and it's the two people who are having the conflict and they can hash it out. Letter C says arbitrarily assign task ownership quickly to resolve the deadlock. So without thought, without thinking, just assign tasks randomly to those two people. That's definitely not a project manager type of action to take. And then letter D says remind the members of the team charter conflict resolution process and direct them to follow it. Although team charters are important and they do outline what to do in conflict resolution, it's not up to the team members to figure that out. So I'm going to say that's a no on that one as well. And we're going to stick with our initial thought. Letter B is the correct answer. And let's see. Yes, letter B. Facilitate synchronous virtual meeting for the two to discuss directly with the manager guiding. So our explanation is real-time direct dialogue with facilitation addresses miscommunications more effectively than written reports or immediate unilateral decisions. This approach encourages immediate resolution and restores progress while managing emotions and misunderstandings. Question 10. A highly specialized virtual team recently onboarded 2 new members who find it difficult to integrate socially and understand unspoken team norms, thus slowing their assimilation. What is the most effective strategy for the project manager? Let's break this question down. A highly specialized virtual team onboarded 2 new members, and those members find it difficult to integrate socially and to understand unspoken team norms. And this is slowing their assimilation down to the group. So what is the most effective strategy for the project manager? Let's look at our answer choices. The project manager can schedule daily one-on-one check-ins to answer questions and provide updates. Let's look at this one. Answer. Let's see. Schedule one-on-one daily check-ins. Again, this is going to take up time because now you're causing these 2 new members to schedule time for one-on-one check-ins with you. Not so much. How about letter B says pair each new member with an experienced team buddy to provide informal guidance, introductions, and explain the culture. Okay, I like this one. It's exemplifying collaboration, and they have a buddy with the experienced person that can kind of walk them through the process. Let's look at letter C. Organize a mandatory virtual team building event retreat to accelerate bonding and formalize the norms. Again, that's not a bad idea to have a team building retreat, but there's that word mandatory. We don't want to do that. And then letter D says create a comprehensive online wiki of team norms and asynchronous acronym, sorry, for independent study. This is just not feasible. Who's going to create it? The team members. And how are you going to keep this updated with this wiki of norms? And then it's going to require the new members to have to go through there and independently study the acronyms and norms and try to figure out how to be a part of the team. I think the best answer on this one is to letter B, is pair them up with the new team member. Let's see what we got here. Yes, B. Pair each new member up with an experienced team buddy to provide informal guidance, introductions, and explain the culture. Here's why. A buddy system offers personalized, informal support essentials for social integration and understanding tacit team norms in virtual settings, accelerating assimilation beyond what formal documents or meetings alone can accomplish. Just create a buddy system. Just get them involved, get them plugged into the culture as fast as possible. Question 11. A virtual team member consistently overcommits and misses deadlines, expressing fear of appearing unproductive to rarely met colleagues. How should the project manager best address this? So what we have a virtual team member who's constantly overcommitting and missing the deadlines on those overcommitments. He's doing this or she's doing this because they have a fear of appearing unproductive to rarely met colleagues. They don't even really meet these people, but they're trying to make an impression on them. So how should the project manager best address this issue? Let's look at our answer choices. You can A, implement stricter tracking and penalties for missed deadlines. Okay, here we go. Penalties and stricter, those against the mindset of servant leader. You can B, encourage the use of online tracking tools for estimating progress and tracking. That's not bad. You can do that. That's not a bad answer. We'll kind of keep this as a maybe. How about this one? Facilitate team discussions on realistic workload management and reinforce that seeking help or adjusting commitments reflect good project health. I like this one because they have a keyword in here is facilitate, and then discussions amongst the team for realistic workload management. Not bad. I like this one more than B, so I'm going to mark out B. And then letter D says significantly reduce the member's workload to prevent burnout. Well, if you reduce the workload, you're eventually going to delay the project, and you don't want to do that. So we're going to go with letter C here. And correct, letter C. Facilitate team discussions. So why is this one correct? So a fear of appearing unproductive in virtual teams drives overcommitment. This is a real fear. You don't really know the people that you're working with in a virtual team, so you want to make sure that you make a good impression. So some people have a tendency to overcommit. However, encouraging psychological safety and open conversations about workload helps change this culture, enabling transparency and better estimates and improved delivery. Question 12. A virtual team member's productivity suffers from constant interruptions by instant messages and emails during focused work. What is the most effective strategy to manage communication overload? Okay, let's take a look at our choices. A, instruct members to ignore instant messages and emails during focused time. Okay, I don't really like ignore because there may be something that comes in that could be important to the project. So I'm going to knock this one out just because of the word ignore. Letter B, implement core communication hours, limiting real-time interactions to specific periods and encourage asynchronous communications outside of these hours. Okay, I like this one. Core communication hours. This is just a time when the outside people can communicate to the team, and the team will be open to those interactions in real time, but also set up some barriers for outside of those hours. I like that. Letter C, funnel all non-urgent communications through a daily summary document. Who's going to do that? Are you? You're going to read everybody's email as a project manager? Probably not. That's not a really good answer choice because actual implementing this may be a little bit difficult to achieve. So we're going to take this one out. And then letter D says introduce a communication platform with advanced filtering. Okay, what are you doing here? The question says, what is the most effective strategy? A communication platform with advanced filtering, so you're just filtering out. They're not really having a time to address those issues that come through. So I'm going to lock that one out too. So let's go back and see what our answer choice is. Correct. Letter B, implement core communication hours, limiting real-time interaction to specific periods and encourage asynchronous communications outside of these hours. So why is this correct? Defining core hours for synchronous communication balances collaboration needs with protected focus time. It's our job as project managers to protect the team. So this reduces interruptions and improves productivity without suppressing overall communication. We don't want to just stop the communications overall, but we do want to protect our team and maybe have a dedicated time for those team members to answer communications that come in real time. But once that time is up, they're back to doing the work that's dedicated and needed for that project. Question 13. A virtual team's decision making is slow, requiring multiple meetings to reach consensus. Team members struggle with spontaneous decisions and clear leadership. What is the most effective approach to streamline decision making? Okay, break it down. Decision making is slow. They have to have multiple meetings to reach a consensus. And they struggle with spontaneous decision making and clear leadership. So what is the most effective approach for decision making? Let's look at our answer choices. You can A, have a centralized decision authority with the project manager. Okay. You can implement clear decision-making framework, i.e. a RACI or a rapid chart, defining the roles and steps for consensus approval. I like this one a lot because the process is already predefined if you do this. With the one before, a centralized decision authority with the project manager, that basically means one person is meeting with the project manager to make a decision. Well, that one person is now being taken away from the task that they are required to do for the project. So we're going to mark out A. We're going to highly recommend B, but let's look at C and D. Letter C says increase meeting durations for more time or more debate time. Increase meetings duration for more debate time. That's not good because we're kind of keep our meetings limited because we got the project to work on. And letter D says use voting tools for quick preference gauging. Sorry about that. Voting tools for quick preference gauging. I don't really like that because just because we voted that's the best or that's the answer or the decision doesn't mean it's the good one. So I'm going with letter B, implement a clear decision-making framework. And let's see what we have. Yes, letter B, implement a clear decision-making framework. Remember, this is the agile mindset. This is the project manager mindset. So why is this correct? It says ambiguity around decision roles causes delays. When you're unsure about making decision, it's going to delay the project. A formal decision framework clearly assigns responsibilities, enabling efficient discussions and clear accountability in virtual environments. Question 14. Some virtual teams have limited fluency in the project's primary language, causing delayed or less articulate contributions that might affect engagement. What is the most supportive and effective strategy? Virtual teams, they're having a language barrier issue and this causing delays to the project. That's the breakdown of that question. So let's look at our answer choices. You can A, encourage primarily text-based communications to allow drafting and translation. Okay, and it's causing people to have to make everything in writing. You can provide, letter B says, provide pre-reading materials and post-meeting summaries in advance so non-native speakers can prepare and review. I like this. This is being sensitive to cultures by giving them the material ahead of time and afterwards so they can prepare for and review what was going on in the meeting. So I like that one a lot. Letter C says mandate. There it is. Mandate simpler language during synchronous discussion. I don't even know what that means. Mandate simpler language. Then letter D says assign language buddies to help translate thoughts during the meetings. Again, you're requiring somebody to do more work. You're asking somebody else to do your work. So I'm going to eliminate all of those, and we're going to look at letter B to be the right choice. And we are correct. Letter B. Provide pre-reading materials and post-meeting summaries. So why is this correct? Offering materials before and after meetings accommodates non-native speakers' pace. It enables effective participation and ensuring that their expertise is utilized rather than solely relying on real-time adaptations. Question 15. A virtual team member works in isolation, leading to a lack of shared context, duplicated efforts, and unexpected dependencies. What is the most effective agile-based approach to improve transparency and collaboration? Let's break this question down. Virtual team members work in isolation, leading to a lack of shared context, duplicated efforts, and unexpected dependencies. What is the most effective agile-based approach to improve transparency and collaboration? So that's our goal. We're going to figure out how can we improve transparency and collaboration with an agile-based approach. Let's look at our answer choices. A says strict individual task reporting and weekly progress updates to the project manager. Okay. Individual task reporting and weekly progress reports to the project manager. I'm not really happy about that one because you're asking the project manager to do the work of the individual task reporting. How about letter B? Daily virtual stand-up meetings where each team member can share progress, challenges, and plans. Okay, that sounds like a daily stand-up. That's not bad. Letter C says shared online dashboards with real-time task completions and KPIs. Okay, what is the question asking? It says, what is the most effective agile-based approach to improve transparency and collaboration? Shared online dashboards with real-time completion and tasks and KPIs. That's not bad either. And then mandate pair programming or collaborative collaborative document editing for major tasks. So we're mandating again, so that's going to be out. And let's look at the rest of these. These are some good answer choices. So we're looking at the most effective approach. So the most effective approach, individual task reporting for the project manager, I'm going to kick that one out. So now we're looking at B and C. A shared online dashboard with real-time completion and KPIs. So let's go back to the question. Virtual team members work in isolation, leading to a lack of shared context and duplicated efforts and unexpected dependencies. Daily virtual stand-up meetings where each team member can share progress and challenges and plans will help to improve transparency and collaboration immediately versus a shared online dashboard and KPIs. Although that's good, it doesn't address the issue immediately and it's not the most effective one. So I'm going to go with letter B. That was a tough one, but let's see where we are. Letter B. So the explanation. Agile daily stand-ups promote more transparency, shared awareness of progress and impediments, and early identification of dependencies, encouraging collaboration and problem solving in virtual teams. That's why that letter B was the correct answer, because it promotes transparency and awareness in real time. Question 16. A virtual team shows low morale and detachment from the project's purpose and impact, feeling isolated in their contributions. How should the project manager re-engage the team and reinforce connection to the vision? You need to re-engage and reinforce connection because there is low morale and detachment. So let's see what our answer choices are. As a project manager, you could A, increase individual performance reviews discussing roles and contributions. Okay, so here we go again about isolating people out and calling them out individually. That's not always a good thing. It doesn't foster that collaboration and that team effort. Letter B says organize regular virtual town hall meetings with the sponsor and the stakeholders, sharing project success and customer feedback. So that's good because the question is talking about a virtual team with low morale and detachment from the project. So if you organize regular virtual town halls with the sponsors and the stakeholders to share success and feedback, that builds connectivity to the project again. Letter C, implement gamification for individual performance and competition. That might be okay, but do you really have time to implement gamification with individual performance? Because it's about the team. The team is feeling detachment, not so much one individual. So we're going to kick that one out. And letter D says, assign a member to develop weekly detailed project progress reports. Again, you're adding more work to another member when they already have work to be done in a project. So I'm going to go with no on that one. I think the best choice for this one is letter B. And let's see what we have here. Yes, letter B. Organize regular virtual town hall meetings. So why is this one correct? Well, direct updates from the sponsors and the stakeholders, linking work to tangible outcomes, help virtual team members see the bigger picture. It reinforcing its purpose and combating any feelings of isolation they may have. Question 17. A virtual team struggles with accountability for delegated tasks. Despite clear assignments, tasks are delayed or incomplete, impacting dependencies and flow. What is the most effective strategy? A virtual team, they're struggling with accountability for delegated tasks. Despite clear assignments, the tasks are delayed or even incomplete. So let's look at our answer choices. The most effective strategy. We're looking for the most effective strategy. So is it A, require daily individual progress reports to the project manager? Daily individual project reports to the project manager. That's a lot of extra work. I'm going to say no on that one because they're already delayed. So you want to add more work to their workload. Letter B says assign tasks with specific visible deadlines and consequences. Well, this is already going on in a project. You already have tasks that are assigned with deadlines, and we all know that the consequences are negative if you don't meet that. So that's not the most effective strategy. Let's look at letter C. Foster transparency by encouraging proactive status updates in a shared system and regular peer reviews. Okay, we're getting somewhere here. We're going to leave this as a maybe. And then letter D says assign time zone based leads to oversee and report progress. You assigning leads, that means hire. You're adding more people or more responsibility to the project. We're going to say no here. So that leaves us with Letter C, foster transparency by encouraging proactive status updates in a shared system. Foster is a key word in answering, and then encouraging, and then shared system for peer reviews. These are all keywords that allude to agile project management. So I'm going to go with letter C on this one, and there we go. Letter C. And why is it correct? Because promoting transparency through shared status tracking and peer accountability builds shared ownership and self-management. This reduces reliance on top-down reporting in virtual teams. Question 18. A project manager integrates a newly acquired virtual team using different communication tools and methodologies, causing friction and inefficiency. What is the best approach to facilitate smooth integration and harmonized practices? So we have a project manager. They have a newly integrated, they acquired a new virtual team. And that team has different communication tools and methodologies. And because of that, it's causing friction and inefficiency. So what is the best approach to facilitate smooth integration and harmonized practices? Let's look at our choices. Letter A says mandate immediate adoption of existing tools and methodology for uniformity. Well, there we go. Mandate, you're out. Question 18 says conduct gap analysis of current versus desired tools and methodologies, then collaboratively plan phase integration and training. Okay, I like this approach. It's slow. You're doing an analysis on it. You're looking at what is and what's desired, and then you're going to collaborate a plan that's going to be phase integration and testing and training. So I like this one a lot. Let's look at letter C. Allow team members to continue their methods, hoping natural convergence occurs. Well, this is one of those do-nothings. You didn't do anything here, so this is not a good answer choice. And you're hoping for a natural conversion? Not as a project manager. You don't need to be hoping that something works. You need to make sure that it works. You need to take proactive measures to make sure that it works. And then letter D says appoint liaisons from each team to manage communications and interface issues. Again, you're appointing liaisons. That's like hiring somebody or getting somebody else to do your work. So this answer choice is out, which leaves us with letter B. And let's go check it out. Yes, letter B says conduct a gap analysis of current versus desired tools and methodologies. So why is this one correct? Inclusive gap analysis and phased transition respects existing practices while enabling smoother collaborative adoption of unified methods and tools, thus minimizing resistance and inefficiency. Question 19. During virtual brainstorming session, only a few dominate participation, limiting diversity of ideas. How can the project manager encourage broader participation in idea generation? So we got a virtual brainstorming session, and just a few people are participating and dominating the conversation. And that causes a limit in diversity of ideas. So the question is asking, how can the project manager encourage broader participation in idea generation? So let's take a look at our choices. Letter A says implement round robin where each member must share at least one idea. It's not a bad choice here, but is it the best one? I don't think so, because again, you're saying that they must share. This is more like a mandate, so we're going to knock this one out. Let's look at letter B. Utilize asynchronous brainstorming tools like virtual whiteboards or online sticky notes, allowing anonymous or paste contributions before synchronous review. I like this one a lot because this one allows people to post their ideas on the whiteboards or sticky notes anonymously, and then once the meeting starts, we can all review what those suggestions are. So this is a really good option here. Letter C says assign pre-reading and specific questions for participation. This one is not bad. You're kind of giving people an opportunity to see what's going on, but you're assigning them and you're kind of forcing them to participate in the discussions. So it may not be the best idea to encourage broader participation, but it's not a bad one. And then letter D says use breakout rooms to discuss smaller groups then reconvene. This one is not bad at all either. It allows you to get rid of the lion in the room, or the hippo effect, the one with the highest paid person in the room. But is it the best one for idea generation? Because you can still have people who don't participate even though they're in the smaller breakout rooms on that one. So I'm going to eliminate that just because it's not the best choice of these choices here. So for this one, I'm going to say letter B, and let's see what our answer choice is. All right, letter B, utilize asynchronous brainstorming tools like whiteboards, virtual whiteboards, and online sticky notes. So why is this one correct? Asynchronous tools enable all members, including the quieter ones, to contribute ideas anonymously and thoughtfully, increasing diversity and inclusivity before the live discussion. So if they're too shy or too quiet to contribute during the meetings, giving them the ability or the option to present their ideas anonymously before the meeting starts will definitely encourage a broader participation in idea generation, as the question was asking. Question 20. A virtual team faces fatigue from prolonged screen time and back-to-back meetings. While on track, the project manager worries about burnout and sustainability. What is the most proactive and supportive measure? Okay, you got a virtual team. They're getting tired from a lot of screen time and back-to-back meetings. The project is not suffering yet, but the project manager thinks that there may have an opportunity for burnout or maintaining the sustainability of their efforts. So the question says, what is the most proactive support measure? So I got this one. I'm going to get rid of that because I didn't copy it over. Sorry about that. So our choices are encourage frequent short breaks for standing during the meetings. Okay. How about letter B says implement no meeting Fridays or block focus time free from meetings. Okay, I like where you're going with that one. It gives people a chance to kind of regenerate and recoup. You're not stopping the project. You're just not having meetings on Fridays or for that amount of time. Letter C says provide mindfulness or wellness apps for non-work hours. Well, that doesn't really do anything about the question about, they're tired of the screen times and the back-to-back meetings. So I'm going to take this one out because this one just doesn't flow with the answer choice. And then letter D says reduce project scope and lessen the workload. Well, we're not going to do that. We're not going to take anything away from the scope because the project is the project. And you don't want to lessen the workload because it's just going to prolong the project itself. So let's take another look at A and B. Encourage frequent short breaks in standing during the meetings. Yeah, that's kind of good because it gives people a chance, but they're not talking about fatigue. They're talking about fatigue a little bit, but really it's the back-to-back meetings and the screen time. So we're going to take this one out. Let's go with B again on this one. Let's see. Yes, B, implement a no meeting Friday or block focus time free from meetings. Why does this one work? Well, structurally, reducing meeting load by blocking times for uninterrupted deep work effectively combats virtual fatigue, and it supports long-term team well-being and better than individual coping strategies. So it's basically saying that if you know you're going to be meeting at this block of time, that's okay. But when you're not, you can focus strictly on your work. And this way you won't be so fatigued, bouncing around from meeting to working to working to meeting. Question 21. Leading a global virtual team with differing cultural work balance or work-life balance and working hour expectations causes tension and missed deadlines. So what is the most effective proactive strategy to prevent this from happening? So let's look at our answer choices. We have here letter A says enforce uniform 9 to 5 hours for all regardless of time zone. So here we go. Enforce, mandate. That's a big no-no. We're not doing any of that. Let's look at letter B. Define core collaboration hours accommodating most time zones and emphasize asynchronous flexibility outside. So we got some keywords: collaboration and asynchronous flexibility. I like this one a lot. Letter C says implement individual flexibility plans per cultural background and regulations. Not a bad one either. Flexibility plans per the cultural backgrounds and regulations. This one is really good, but you can kind of get into a little bit of an HR issue when you kind of make rules and regulations based on cultural differences. So we want to kind of steer away from this one a little bit, although it's not a bad idea to consider cultural backgrounds and regulations, but you don't want to implement plans around that only. Letter D says advise prioritizing project over personal time near the deadline. So no. You don't want to tell people that they have to prioritize their project over their personal needs. That's just not, that doesn't flow with a servant leader mentality in project management. So I think we're going to go with B on this one. And let's see. Yes, B. Define core collaboration hours accommodating most time zones and emphasize asynchronous flexibility outside. Why is this one correct? Well, core hours provide essential windows for synchronous collaboration while respecting personal and cultural time boundaries outside of those hours. This helps to balance inclusivity, I need to learn how to say that word, and productivity. Question 22. Virtual team members desire more informal recognition of effort, feeling unnoticed compared to co-located teams. What is the most effective way to address this? So the question is saying that the virtual team members desire more informal recognition of efforts because they feel unnoticed compared to the people that are co-located together. So what's the most effective way the project manager should address this? Well, let's look at our answer choices. Letter A says, implement formal monthly employee awards with monetary incentives. Sounds nice, but where's that money going to come from? That means you have to go and ask for more money, and that is against the deny principle that we have here. So we don't want to do that one. Letter B says, dedicate a segment in weekly meetings for public shout-outs, celebrating wins, and sharing positive client feedback. All right, I like this one because you're already in your weekly meetings, and so just carve out a little section to do some public shout-outs because remember, these team members feel that they want more informal recognition. So I like this one a lot. Letter C says, sends private emails acknowledging contributions. Again, talking about sending a private email when they said right here that they are lacking informal recognition in those opportunities where the co-located team members are getting that. And letter D says, encourage use of virtual likes emojis on collaboration platforms. This is cute, but it's not effective. The question says, what is the most effective way? I don't think virtual likes and emojis are going to be the most effective way to make people feel that they are being recognized. I would go with letter B on this one. Let's take a look. Letter B, dedicate a segment in the weekly meetings for public shout-outs. There you go. Why does this one work? It says because public recognition in regular meetings provide visible, consistent appreciation, fostering team morale and culture more effectively than private or purely digital gestures alone. All right, almost there, guys. Question 23. Virtual meetings suffer from distractions, multitasking, and focus loss despite advanced tools. What technique enhances focus and engagement? What technique enhances focus and engagement? Let's look at our answer choices. A, shorten all meetings to a maximum of 30 minutes regardless of the agenda. Sounds nice, but if you've been in project management for any time, forcing the 30-minute meeting regardless of the agenda, it's probably not going to work. So we're going to kick this one out. Letter B says enforce cameras on and call on members frequently. So we're already suffering from distractions and multitasking and a focus loss due to advanced tools. And so now you want people to turn the cameras on and then you want to call people frequently. I don't think that that's a good answer. And the word right there, enforce, kicks that one out. Letter C, design agendas with clear objectives, time boxes, and interactive elements like polls, break rooms, and collaborative editing. I like this one a lot because you are designing your agenda with objectives and then you're allowing time in those agendas for those specific objective items. And you can have breakout sessions and polls to encourage collaboration and participation. So that's a really good one. And then letter D says, record meetings for later viewing, reducing pressure to participate live. Sounds good, but you don't get that live participation that you need when you're working on projects. And so you want to kind of make sure that those recorded meetings are for review and for referencing, not so much for distributing important information. So on question 23, I'm going to go with letter C. Let's see. Yes, letter C. So why does this one work? Well-structured, interactive meetings transform passive sessions into engaging, focused experiences, promoting active participation and reducing distractions. Question 24. Virtual project team turnover leads to loss of institutional knowledge and disrupted velocity. What proactive strategy mitigates this impact? So you have a virtual project team, but they have turnover that leads to loss of institutional knowledge and disrupted velocity. So it's a high turnover. People are leaving with the information and your velocity is getting disrupted or even slowed down. So what proactive strategy will mitigate this impact? So let's take a look. Letter A says you can create a comprehensive centralized knowledge repository regularly updated by the team. Okay, I like this one a lot because no matter who comes and goes, the information is there and the team is updating it regularly. So that's not a bad choice. Letter B says require departing members to provide extensive handoff documentation and training. Well, you can require that, but it depends on how or why that team member is no longer with the team. They may or may not be willing to provide an extensive handoff and document their training. So I'm going to go no on this one. Letter C says increase onboarding budget for intensive training. Remember our deny factor here where it says don't ask for money, and so you want to increase your onboarding budget. That's going to be a no. And then letter D says introduce strict non-compete clauses. Okay, that's fine. It's a non-compete clause, but it doesn't do anything about the institutional knowledge that's being lost or the disruption in the velocity. So that's not a good answer there as well. So based on what we have here, we're going to go with letter A as the best answer choice. And what do we have? Yes, letter A, create a comprehensive centralized knowledge repository and allow the team members to update it regularly. Why does this one work? Well, a well-maintained shared repository preserves critical knowledge and eases onboarding, sustaining continuity despite turnover. This is key. This is similar to your lessons learned repository where you want to just keep a running list of knowledge to be shared about the project and even in future projects. Question 25. Virtual team members use diverse technical tools causing incompatibility and efficiency losses. What is the project manager's most effective action? So what do we have? We got a virtual team. They use diverse technical tools, and these tools cause incompatibility and efficiency losses. So the question is asking, what is the project manager's most effective action? So our choices are A, mandate a standardized set of tools and software versions for all, providing licenses and training. Okay? So question A, right off the bat, we have the word mandate. Ooh, but should we kick it out? Because we're talking a standardized set of tools and software version for all. And I'll tell you, let's hold on to this one, even though it says mandate. Letter B says implement a BYOD policy for preferred compatible tools. Don't even know what that is. We're going to get rid of that one. Hire a dedicated IT support for troubleshooting. There it is. Don't hire, don't fire. That one's out. Organize workshops for members to share tips on their tools. Okay, you can organize a workshop to share tips on the tools, but who has time for that? They're all supposed to be working on the project, so creating a workshop to share and teach people how to use these tools may not be the best way. So going back to letter A, typically, yes, we would kill this question if it says mandate because we don't want to do that. But we're in a situation where these tools that they're using are causing incompatibility and efficiency losses. So sometimes as a project manager, you're going to have to mandate certain things. And this is one of those instances where this would be the case because you want to mandate a standardized set of tools and software versions for everybody to eliminate this incompatibility issue and to eliminate these efficiency losses. And then you want to provide training and licenses for those applications. So let's go and let's see what our answer choice is. And yes, it is letter A, mandate a standardized set of tools and software. So why is this one the winner? Because standardizing tools ensures compatibility, reduces technical friction, and enables uniform collaboration. Thus, providing licenses and training supports adoption and productivity. So there you have it. We've gone through the first 25 questions and we just figured out how to get to those best answers on all of those. So let's do a quick recap. How to dissect a PMP exam question. Use these 4 steps to dissect any PMP exam question so you can always choose the best possible answer. So this is what we did. Each time you want to break down each question to uncover the true question. What is that question actually asking you? Who is it asking you about? Is it the project manager? Is it the project sponsor? Is it the the best solution? Is it the most efficient solution? Understand what that question is and then break that down so you can drill all the way down to what that question is actually answering you. Then we want to apply the PMP and Agile mindsets to each question. Remember, you don't want to mandate, you don't want to require people to do certain things. You're trying to keep the mindset of Agile and allow that the team be the experts in the project, and you want to just facilitate them along. You want to offer guidance. You want to remove any impediments that may be in the way of that team. So those are the answers that you're looking for when you're selecting your answer choice on your PMP exam questions. And then we want to eliminate those wrong answers using the deny methodology. Remember, don't hire, don't fire, don't ask for help, don't ask for money, don't ask anybody else to do your job. Those types of things that you want to look for those answer choices and to see if they contradict or they get eliminated by using that deny methodology. And then the last thing is you want to identify those answers that you have left and make sure that they comply with the PMI standards and practices. And those standards and practices can be found on in the PMBOK and also in the Agile Practice Guide. So if you are applying these 4 process steps to each of your PMP questions, you should come up with the right answer on every single one of those, unless it's dealing with one of the formulas, and then that's just equation that you're going to have to answer. But those ones that require you to think and to understand the process and the mindset, this is how you want to break these questions down to get to the root of the question, to apply the PMP and Agile mindset, to eliminate those questions that go against the deny methodology, and then finally make sure that it complies with the PMI standards. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you on the next video. So let's do a quick recap. How to dissect a PMP exam question. Use these 4 steps to dissect any PMP exam question so you can always choose the best possible answer. So this is what we did. Each time you want to break down each question to uncover the true question. What is that question actually asking you? Who is it asking you about? Is it the project manager? Is it the project sponsor? Is it the best solution? Is it the most efficient solution? Understand what that question is and then break that down so you can drill all the way down to what that question is actually answering you. Then we want to apply the PMP and Agile mindsets to each question. Remember, you don't want to mandate, you don't want to require people to do certain things. You're trying to keep the mindset of Agile and allow that the team be the experts in the project, and you want to just facilitate them along. You want to offer guidance. You want to remove any impediments that may be in the way of that team. So those are the answers that you're looking for when you're selecting your answer choice on your PMP exam questions. And then we want to eliminate those wrong answers using the deny methodology. Remember, don't hire, don't fire, don't ask for help, don't ask for money, don't ask anybody else to do your job. Those types of things that you want to look for those answer choices and to see if they contradict or they get eliminated by using that deny methodology. And then the last thing is you want to identify those answers that you have left and make sure that they comply with the PMI standards and practices. And those standards and practices can be found on in the PMBOK and also in the Agile Practice Guide. So if you are applying these 4 process steps to each of your PMP questions, you should come up with the right answer on every single one of those, unless it's dealing with one of the formulas, and then that's just equation that you're going to have to answer. But those ones that require you to think and to understand the process and the mindset, this is how you want to break these questions down to get to the root of the question, to apply the PMP and Agile mindset, to eliminate those questions that go against the deny methodology, and then finally make sure that it complies with the PMI standards. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you on the next video.